Most of my life, I felt overweight and I have not focused on anything in the fitness realm. So I was really not skilled there. I got probably the largest I've ever been. I was all the way at 250 pounds, stressed, trying to do kids, trying to do business, trying to do all those things. And I was just eating my feelings. From 2021 to 2022, I was doing Orange Theory HIIT workouts and running. But I kept looking around at the Orange Theory room and I would just say there isn't really fit humans at Orange Theory. It's something you can go do, but I looked around and it was like, this isn't really working for everyone that's here. I think fitness and weight loss has been like wizardry and magic. In my life of being a dad, a husband, and a partner in a business, I have to show up and I have to execute. And I have to have the discipline to do that for the long haul. And if I don't do that, a lot of people are disappointed.
Micah, welcome, my brother. I appreciate you hopping on with me today.
Dude, this is a blast.
Awesome, man. So today I'd love to just jump into your experience, your journey, some of the key insights you've had, some of the things that have made you so successful here in the results you've gotten. But first, I just want to learn more about you, who you are. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, my name is Micah. I am a business owner in the Twin Cities, Minnesota, so Minneapolis-St. Paul area. I have 5 children. I'm married, almost married 16 years. And that keeps me very busy. And then we have a construction and painting company in the Twin Cities. That's quite large, as well as 20 companies we've partnered with nationally and have built 5 apartment buildings. So the group that I'm a part of with 4 other guys, we're up to a lot of different things.
Awesome, man. And so with that, walk me through kind of the challenges that operating all those businesses, having 5 kids poses to your health and fitness goals here.
Yeah, it obviously gets in the way. I would just say, if we go back to the beginning, I was not like a high discipline fitness person most of my life, all the way through high school. I had this like little moment when I lived in New Zealand right after I graduated from high school for 6 months, where I got kind of fit. And I was working hard, burning a lot of calories, and I had a big metabolism because I was 19 years old. So there was like the first time I felt kind of good, but most of my life I felt overweight and I have not focused on anything in the fitness realm. So I was really not skilled there. And then flash all the way to 2021, I got probably the largest I've ever been. And so I was all the way at 250 pounds, stressed, trying to do kids, trying to do business, trying to do all those things. And I was just eating my feelings, but I was getting older. So the metabolism was not keeping up and I just got really large. Right.
Yeah.
And so I have this journey of not knowing what to do in that space. And I kind of just didn't watch what I was doing. And I got really stressed in that year. And I got to a point where I was 250 and I was like, I got to do something different. But getting to that point was like I got kind of desperate. I was like, I can't keep doing this. I'm bending over to tie my shoes and I can't breathe. You know what I mean? This is not sustainable. Back in 2021.
You were 250, 2021. Yeah. What did you do then?
Yeah. So at that point, I was just like, I guess it's just about having less calories in versus out. Like how do I increase my activity? Yeah. And so I decided to take a journey of running. And running to me felt like, well, that's a hard thing. I should learn some discipline in life. I can just go do it. I don't need a lot of equipment. Sure. So I started doing that, and I'm business partners with some pretty strong runners. So they helped me kind of get started.
Yeah. And so did you do that all the way through 2024 when we met, or what was that like from 2021 to 2024?
Yeah. So I definitely have a story of kind of some ping pong for sure.
Some ping pong.
Where you go down and then you kind of you lack some of the habits or some of the techniques to keep it sustainable. Mm-hmm. So we can get to that later when we talk about how I met you guys. But from 2021 to 2022, I was doing Orange Theory HIIT workouts and running. And so I'd run probably 14 to 15 miles a week. I got my first half marathon done in 2022, and I didn't ever think I could ever run like that. And it turned out I really enjoyed running. Movement for me is awesome. So I got involved in that. I got all the way down to like 207 or something like that, but it was not sustainable per se to keep running 14 miles a week. It was not like I kind of like was like, okay, cool, I did that and I felt more in shape. and I got out of the danger zone of 250, but I quickly went back to 230.
And what was
over
it
a year.
specifically about the 14 miles? Was it the time investment with your schedule? Was it more so the pounding on the joints? Like, what made that unsustainable for you?
It was probably more like, man, this doesn't feel sustainable to be a runner forever. I mean, you got Goggins out there who's going to
Sure.
tell you different. But for me, I was like, hey, like running, road running, and having to do running, there's got to be a different way. I also was not happy with my muscle development. I was like, I kind of want to build some muscle. I want to have a body that I feel like it looks good for a dad bod, you know? And it just didn't feel like running was the path for that. And then I found it hard to sustain that over a long period of time.
I have two questions off that. Like, one, were you focused on your diet at all? Because I know you love to entertain. That's part of how you enjoy your life, which I love about you. And then second is, what was it specifically about the hit and the running that you didn't like about how that was making your physique look?
Yeah. So I love high calorie burn, zone 5, go hard feeling. I really like it.
Yes.
And I still enjoy it, but it didn't feel sustainable. It wasn't giving me the outcome of body. Like I kept fighting. So I wasn't losing the weight. I wasn't building the muscle through those workouts. And I think a big part was I'm not figuring out diet at that weight range. I'm not figuring out the right inputs.
Yeah.
So I got to a place where I wasn't tracking. I wasn't keeping focused on it. And it just wasn't working. I would balloon in my weight. And then I'm like, I don't want to be in that place again. And I was like, man, I'm not figuring out how to do this sustainably and kind of stay at a lower weight range. I'm not figuring that out, right? But I kept looking around at the Orange Theory room, and I would just say there isn't really fit humans at Orange Theory. It's something you can go do, but I looked around and it was like, there's a lot of people here that aren't fit. This isn't really working for everyone that's here. Like, there's maybe 20% are pretty fit when I'm there. And it's something you can do, but not to bash OTF, I like it. I was like, I don't think what I want is here. And that's when I started looking.
Yeah, you're not going to get a guy who like really understands exercise science in a Orange Theory class.
That's right. Yep. It's
what
better
I
than
love
nothing,
about it is
right?
it's very communal and
Yes.
it gets people fired up. It gets them started.
Yes.
But if you want to take it to the next level, Orange Theory is not going to do it.
And that's what it did for me, right? I came waltzing into an Orange Theory at 250, hitting the treadmill, I was losing weight hand over fist as I started that rhythm.
I bet.
Till like 220, and then 225, and then and I felt good about that. But I was like, there's a different level of understanding here to go to like further down the line, starting to get to the under 200s. There's something else I need to understand.
Yeah. So I'm from hearing you right. Strategy was pretty much just like, let's see how many calories I can burn with Orange Theory, with running, with whatever it might be. Let's just kind of eat less, but not really focus on like what types of foods I'm eating or anything like that. When we met end of 2024, I believe you were like 229, maybe 230 when we started. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Okay. Now you've gotten down to like 205 and you've maintained that for the past year. So what do you think were the biggest unlocks for you that allowed you to not only get down to 205 but to maintain the results?
Yeah. So the way I look at bringing my inflow of food, of trying to hit certain macros, and then having cut weeks and maintain weeks has been healthy to have data. For me, like I think fitness and weight loss has been like wizardry and magic.
Yeah,
like one of the
that's
things
such
you
a
really,
good point.
One of the things you really helped me with was like, oh, this is science. And it can differ on body type, right?
Sure.
But it's still science. The numbers matter a lot. And you brought me into a system of looking at the numbers and how I do weighted workouts, progressive weightlifting, some cardio. I liked those workouts, and I was like, wait, this is very achievable. I could do this forever. And then the specifically like working the cuts specific with the data down, and then knowing like, someday you're going to be in a maintenance mode and you can cut when you need to, but you can. The goal is to get to a weight that you maintain and stay in, and then you have a strategy to get yourself back down if you go a little higher. But you're also building muscle.
Yeah. So a few things I want to touch on there. So like I'd say the first 7-8 years of my fitness journey, like that's what I thought it was. I was like wizardry. It's like you eat these foods and magically you get diced. It's like, well, how? And then I was introduced to obviously more evidence-based, more data-driven stuff. And it's like, oh my God, I'm a fucking idiot. What was I? At least me, I'm not calling you an idiot. But you use some terminology there that the average person probably wouldn't understand. You were saying like cut and maintenance. So can you explain to the average person who's never heard of those terms, what that means and what it means to you more so.
Sure. Yeah. Well, when you talk like TDEE, how your daily calories burn based on where you're at, and then the workouts you do in a week, and the calorie deficit of incoming food, that data of a cut of just moving to, for me personally, it's different for everyone's body type, but for me, it's 1,800 to 1,900 calories a day when I'm on a cut. And when I'm on maintenance, I move up to 2,400, 2,500. And that feels like awesome. And my body's like, oh, this is great. So maintenance being a higher caloric load of food coming in, and then cut being the 1,800 per day, which can feel daunting, but it's like if you pick the right foods, it's actually awesome. You feel really like on fire in a good way.
And so have you noticed that phasic approach, if you will, has made it more sustainable for you instead of just being like, I need to like eat in a calorie deficit for the rest of my life, which a lot of people think they need to?
Yeah.
In what way?
So what I would say is, I still think there's a mental challenge in like cuts and trying to get to an objective, especially when I'm going to territory I've never been. My mind wants to tell me it's still wizardry, but what's been awesome is the plan and the system and the data always works. And I'm always trying to work through my mental thinking around the plan, but I always go back to the plan. So like the most recent cut we've been on, there was 3-4 weeks where I feel like for some reason I didn't believe it again, and it felt like wizardry. And it actually never changed. It was just my mentality, my focus, my decision making, whatever. And I think that in those cuts, there's a lot of you have to trust the process. You have to stay consistent in the data. You haven't built like a spidey sense of knowing where you're at. You start to get better with time, but even now, over this is what, a year and a half of doing this. It's still like you have to like see the data to convince your feelings and emotions that it's working, especially when you're going to places you've not gone.
I have a firm belief, and maybe this is just because I've looked at the data for so long, but I think systems and data and everything you do is about 10% of the battle, and the rest, the other 90% is just what happens in between your ears, right? So talk to me about how you regulate, if you will, kind of what goes on in your head and anchor that back into reality by looking at the facts, looking at the data.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think probably the most recent, coming up with like a grounded example, I think I had pretty good movement when we were doing a cut and getting to my first goal weight, right? You guys helped me drop 10% of my body weight. I went down to 203. It's the lowest I've ever been. And I hit that on the scale. And that was like, woo, this is awesome. And then I fluttered kind of between 203 and 210, but kind of average around 26, 27, 25 in that range. And then I felt myself in a few weeks getting back up, and I was like, hey, well, let's re-engage a cut. Let's go to the next goal level. In that, I realized my step data got weaker. I wasn't doing the steps. I wasn't doing the movement that I was doing in the first, and I kind of just forgot about that. Right? I kind of forgot that I had shifted some of my normal habits and behaviors over that. I started getting really mental of like, does this work? Can I lose weight? Can I go sub 200? Can I get, my new goal of being sub 200, going to 195 and further than that? Can I do it? But it was, when I get back in the data, it helps my feelings and emotions. And I get re-energized and engaged when I see, oh, it does work. I just need to move my movement up and keep working the other parts of the plan. That's where the data really helps. If you trust it, it kind of helps you pull your feelings out of it and get back into what is the thing I'm not doing right here.
Yeah.
I think for me, in this most recent, movement was the biggest missing thing, and increasing that has started bringing me back down again. And that may be different for every single person, how it hits them. But I went to the emotion of, it doesn't work. I can't lose weight further than where I've been. I can't do that. It's wizardry again.
Yes.
And then you start playing around with the data and start looking at it. And this is where you guys have helped a ton of like going back and forth on what could it be. And we're like, it's movement. Every time when you do the movement, that has a correlative effect to a drop.
And I think you brought up a really important part of how like, it's not wizardry. It's not magic. No. There's science here, but it's different from person to person.
Yep.
Like we've got some clients who literally walk, and I'm not advising them to do this, but this is just where they're at right now, or they'll walk like 4,000 steps a day. They'll get their 3 lifts and they'll just be dialed on their nutrition, and they lose like 2 to 3 pounds a week.
Yeah.
Other guys for some reason they'll have like a magic step number where it's like anything below 9,000 steps a day, they won't lose a pound. And like mathematically, it doesn't line up with how many calories they should be burning with their steps versus, the calories they're intaking and the weight loss numbers. But that's because there's so much more going on underneath the hood than just calories in, calories out, like the way your hormones are related to movement and things of that sort. But the key point is like having the data, because we can be like, okay, this week was really successful. Like what happened here? This was the missing piece. Okay, let's try that again. And then we can essentially like use the scientific method on every individual person until we find like the code that works for every person. And for you, that big thing was, like you said, movement.
Yeah, it's got to be about 10,000 for me. Like helps a lot.
And with a guy with your schedule, how do you get 10,000 steps a day?
I actually, you guys have created a lot of tools, but I created my own spreadsheet that showed my daily calorie deficit, and it had workout 1, 2, 3, and then it has hour on tread, and then 2 more half-hour walking workouts, and that's like my minimum. I have to hit those. And
so how many hours is that a week
for you? 2 hours of like zone 2. kind of walking. I really like the incline treadmill walk because I can watch Netflix and pound a movie and have a great time. And I have never sweat more, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like right now, my data, it just says I'm burning 700 to 800 calories, when I do that workout. And it feels really good. My body loves it. So I have a rhythm. This has taken a lot of work to build the rhythm in. You have to do negotiations with family too. Like I had to bring my family into it. Yeah. And I just was like, you guys, my wife and I trade off mornings. So those mornings, if I miss it, it's gone. Right. So anytime that I've missed a workout, it was like, oh shoot, I missed my window. I had to go out of town or something. If I'm out of my window, it's very hard for me to achieve it because I have a busy life. So I had to get highly disciplined with, these are my days and I have to go do them. I got to be a slave to the system. I wake up and go, and I don't think a lot about it because if I miss it, I'm going to miss it.
Because that's the first part. If you don't have the system, you don't have the schedule, good luck. You're not going to accidentally show up at the gym, right?
Yeah.
But then even when some people do have that, they don't actually have the follow through to make sure they get there. So how do you ensure that you have the follow through, you have the discipline, whatever you want to call it, to make sure you show up in this time block that you have allotted to it?
So it's helped a lot to have you on the message group of you're going to see this, having somebody that's a little oversight to go hey, did you do the thing you wanted to do to hit the goal you wanted to hit? That helps a lot. The other thing is I care a lot about the goal. The goal I set is not I'm obviously invested in doing this. I care about this happening. And you have this little argument with yourself where you go, so do I want to think that not following through with my plan is going to get me the result? Do I want to live in that fantasy land, or do I want to wake up and go and do the plan and watch the result and continue to build on it, build on it, and build on it? And so when my alarm goes off, I moved them to 5 a.m.s for me to go earlier because I wanted more margin in my mornings with my family. The alarm goes off and I go, I can do one snooze and that's it. But I got to be out the door after the second one. And so it's 5 to 5:10. And it's get up, go, and I usually have my workout clothes. I usually sleep in my workout clothes, so I'm ready to go. So it's just a mental piece of nope, go. I just have to go.
Yeah.
And I have to tell myself that. And
so at a point right now, so let me do a little tangent right here before I jump into the question. So when you're 250 pounds, for me it was 218. It doesn't really matter the number. Everyone has this kind of bar, a standard that they set where they look in the mirror or they feel a certain way and they're like, fuck this, right? Because it's so painful, it's so uncomfortable. You just have so much motivation to make the change, right? That said, it's a pattern I've seen where guys will lose 10% of their body weight, they'll lose 20, they'll lose 30 pounds, they'll get comfortable. They'll ease off the gas, they'll lose the lifestyle because they're not in as much pain anymore. Now at this point where, frankly, you're probably in better shape than 90% of guys out there. How do you keep that motivation going? Or is it not even a motivation at this point? Is it just this is just what I do? Talk to me about that.
So what's interesting about fitness is a lot of people that have watched my journey have been oh, wow, you're getting fit and, wow, I couldn't do that, or, yada, yada, yada. There's all these thoughts around fitness because a lot of people think it's wizardry too.
Yeah.
A lot of people think I'm doing it for a look and a physique and to feel good. And what's interesting is my little secret is, in my life of being a dad, a husband, and a partner in a business, I have to show up and I have to execute. And I have to have the discipline to do that for the long haul. And if I don't do that, a lot of people are disappointed. I don't show up. I can disappoint a lot. This hard path and goal and consistency to achieve fitness and the plan that we put together helps actually achieve that byproduct. It is healthy and good for my life, but it's a muscle flex on, I don't like it, it's hard, but I'm going to do it anyway. That little trigger, I think, is one of the most valuable things for men to have developed in them, for self-control, for focus, for achieving their objectives, for showing up for their families and their work. There's a lot of lazy guys out there. There's a lot of people who are like, they just kind of don't commit. They don't go through the follow through. And I think that's a missing thing in our generation. So for me, fitness has been a really strong piece in this plan of staying consistent to do that. That probably drives me the most. And then secondarily, how I feel and how I can move and what the strength I have for the long haul of doing that life is a byproduct of that too.
So obviously looking better, feeling better, that's nice, right?
It's great byproduct.
But the primary driver for you, if I'm hearing you right, is like you have real responsibilities. You have tons of people counting on you.
Yep.
Some kids that would literally probably die without you, right? Yep. They need to be fed. And so for you to perform at your peak and show up the way you want to, you need to flex this muscle of discipline, of willpower, of grit.
I mean, the garden doesn't just not have weeds in it. If you leave it, it grows. So there really is a false perception that you can get to a place where you don't really do change. You don't learn something new. That you're just going to stay the same forever. You're actually going to always get worse. So you have to be innovating and pushing into fitness, just like anything else in life. And for me, the constant iteration of what works now, or how do I do it now, or how can I make it interesting, or what is the next level, or that actually is a form of growth in this side that teaches me a lot of discipline and focus in achieving certain goals, but has a great outcome of, just pure outcome of, I did a life insurance policy when I was 230, 240, 250. And it was like, I paid higher rates than when I just did it recently. I got a lot more life insurance for a lot less because I crushed the health rating. So there's benefits like that are really great. But I think that iteration and the process of pushing yourself into it and getting a plan, having others speak into the plan of what's working, what's not working, push you to go a little farther than you would on your own. That to me has been a huge victory. I grew up thinking I'm too dumb. I can't figure it out. I don't know what I'm going to do. I was not the kind of person that was like, hey, I'm going to crush it and dominate the world and you can't stop me. I was like, oh, who wants me and why would I do it? Like, I don't know if I can do it. So I flipped that 100%. I went total 180 on that. And that I think came through just not really agreeing with those thoughts and actually saying, no, I can do it. I'm going to push through it. I'm going to keep testing and then take the learning and apply it and apply it and apply it and getting me all the way to where I am now. In both business, personal life, and fitness, it's a very different world, but I didn't start there. But as I've done this, it's helped me build this follow-through gene that has been extremely, extremely beneficial to my success in life and where I'm at now, right? Comparative, kind of from C-ish student in high school that's like, what am I doing in life? To we've got multi-million-dollar businesses. I got a huge family. It's very different now. And I'm more fit than I've ever been. And that is a much better outcome in life, right? But it didn't start there. There is a path you can walk to actually get there. But I think you absolutely need supports around you. You need, I'm surrounded by wonderful business partners that help us spur this out. I couldn't do this. It was just Micah show. And it's been really helpful to have Jimmy, you, and having the voice of an advisor in this realm too.
Dude. Just drop some sauce on us. No, but I couldn't agree more in the how you framed that rather, is that made me remember why I got so passionate about fitness to begin with, because kind of like you, just smoking a shit ton of weed, getting C's in high school, parents thought I was a fuck up. They're he's gonna mooch off us for the rest of his life. And then I tore my ACL, I got into fitness and developed discipline there, started getting good grades, got into college, built a business, right? So, but it's not just about that transformation externally, it's about that internal switch. And honestly, the self-respect I gained for myself because of the discipline I gained, more so than any of the external results I got.
Yeah, there's a concept, a really wise person I talked to once, you have to build cornerstone habits in your life. And this is a cornerstone habit. From this cornerstone habit, many other good things happen. And I can't think, for me personally, of a better cornerstone habit than fitness, because it's like
100%.
I'm like, oh, if I can do that, I can do just about anything, right? For me,
Yeah.
for my personality.
If you were to kind of like wrap up everything you just said into one neat, nice message, let's say maybe rewind to yourself a year ago, maybe even all the way back to 2021, what would be that one piece of advice you would tell yourself to, either have you prioritize your health more, to get back into control, whatever you want to impart? What wisdom would you impart in that version of yourself?
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, the biggest thing is you're for sure not going to be a pro right away. I'd be like, you're going to go on a journey, and you should expect it to be months and months and months, or years, not weeks. It's going to take a lot of weeks to feel the benefit of something you start to do. But then when you get in that pattern, after a couple months, you're like, oh, this is working. And you got to be slave to your system. You have to find a system first, and then you have to walk into it. And I would have told myself, hey, if you stay focused, walk the system, get some good people around you, you're going to be so much better off by the end of this. Give it 12 months and then evaluate where you're at relative to where you were, and then reinvest. So I'd probably go back and tell myself that. And I still am telling myself that now.
What that, the reinvest or the longer time horizon?
Reinvest, and it takes time.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot shorter than you think when you're there. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that's like, don't think you're going to have this result of doing something like this in like a week. That's ridiculous. Nothing good comes in a week. That's, you might, it just doesn't work that way. You gotta plan to mentally prepare. This is going to be 6 months to a year of dedicated focus. And at that point, I'll look at where you're at. I'll look at where I'm at. And it's like, what did that do? And you're for sure going to be happy you did it. It's worth the investment.
Love it, man. Love it, man. Well, dude, I appreciate you hopping on with me. This was freaking awesome. Always a pleasure to see you as well.
Dude, loved it.
Cheers, brother.
See ya.